Today we're going to look at the vertical jump test. The main purpose of this is to assess a performer's power, especially in their legs. Before completing the vertical jump test, the performer should complete a sufficient warm-up, which raises their heart, their body and muscle temperature, as well as completing some dynamic stretches, preparing them for movement, particularly in their legs. Before completing this test, the performer needs to place chalk on one of their hands. They then need to stand themselves side onto a wall with a few centimetres gap between the wall and their shoulder. The hand that they've chalked up should be the one nearest to the wall. In order to measure their starting height, the performer then reaches up with their chalked hand, making sure that they keep their shoulders horizontal, and they mark with their hand the starting height with their chalked hand. The performer must then attempt to jump as high as they can and place a chalk marking as far away from their starting height as possible. Following sufficient rest and recovery of about 2 to 3 minutes between each jump, the performer then repeats this 2 to 3 times to then gain an average score by adding up all of the heights that they did jump, dividing that by 3. In order to calculate the height jumped, they measure how high up the tallest mark is on the wall and they subtract the starting height figure. If, for example, someone's starting height was 2 meters 10 and they jumped up and touched 2 meters 50, they would then do 2.5, take away 2.1, which gives a score of 0.4 or 40 centimetres. Once a performer has averaged out their score from 2 to 3 repetitions, they can then use the normative data tables to ascertain if they are above average, at average or below average for their age and gender. Some key benefits to the vertical jump test is that it's very quick, it's very simple and it's very cheap. All it requires is a measuring tape and chalk. This fitness test is also very reliable and valid in assessing a performer's power because their result is directly linked to how much power they have within their muscles. The more powerful they are, the greater height they'll achieve. And finally, this fitness test can also be self-administered. The performer doesn't require a coach or an assessor to work out what they've got. They can have the chalk, they can make the markings, and they can make the calculations after the performance has ended. There are, however, some drawbacks to using the vertical jump test. The first is that technique may play a big role in the height that they achieve. Effective use of arm swings could actually alter the result the same performer achieves from first attempt to second attempt. Therefore, it's good practice for the performer to attempt this fitness test before they go in and record their results for real. A second drawback could be the accuracy of the chalk markings. This could be the standing height or the total height achieved. When first marking the wall with the standing height, the performer's shoulder joint could move ever so slightly and that could alter their height or their starting height by 2 or 3 centimetres. And then during the test, if the performer fails to actually make a marking at the peak of their jump, then they're going to touch it on their way back down or on their way up, and that's going to give them a lower score than what they're actually capable of. And lastly, injury. A performer could easily jump up and land or drag themselves along the wall, which could cause them harm. So, to summarise the vertical jump test, it's primarily used to assess a performer's power, particularly in their legs. Following a sufficient warm-up and chalking of a hand, the performer then stands side onto a wall. They generate a standing height mark by reaching up, keeping their shoulders horizontal and marking with a chalk finger where that height is. They then perform a maximal 2-footed jump straight up and mark with their chalk finger the height that they achieved. By subtracting their standing height figure from the maximum height figure, we then arrive at the height jumped. The performer completes this at least 2 to 3 times to then average the score out to get their final result. Using normative data tables, the performer can then work out if they're above average, at average or below average for their age and gender. The benefits are that it's simple, quick, cheap and it can be self-administered. The drawbacks, however, is that the technique of the arm swing could impact on the result scored. Accuracy of the chalk markings, be it the starting height or the maximum height achieved, could influence results, and there's also a risk of injury. So that's the vertical jump test. I hope you found that new lesson useful. If you did, then feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can be kept up to date with all of the video and content that we're going to be bringing you. Alternatively, if you want to learn more about the private tuition or teaching and learning resources that we write, then feel free to visit us at thepetutor.com and reach out to one of our team. I hope to hear from or see you soon.